Good morning, folks. We are here at the Golden Key Hotel at the Access Recovery and Retrieval Task Force office, where the former finance minister Samuel Tweh appears today for an investigation. So that's the vehicle that is carrying Samuel Tweh, and they arrived here at 9:47 a.m. this morning. So they just arrived, and we'll stick around to provide more updates on the outcome of the investigation. So Samuel Tweh and his team has just arrived, and they arrived here at 9:47 a.m. They enter, and they are expected to be here by 10. The investigation starts 10 a.m. this morning, so they arrive here at 9:47. So we'll keep posted to bring you more update on the investigation and provide more information as the investigation goes on. And we will also try to speak with former finance minister if he will give us the opportunity to do so, and we will have a word with his team of lawyers that are here with him, at least to have a conversation. So the entire area will have security forces that are here and protecting this entire area, and we have Samuel Tweh and his team just arrived in for the investigation. So remain posted as we bring you more update. We will provide more information surrounding this entire letter that was sent to Samuel Tweh. So keep posted. This letter was sent to Tweh on the 13th of May 2026. So let me read out the letter that was sent to Samuel Tweh on May 13, 2026. So Samuel Tweh have been having a couple of legal issues surrounding him, and this letter was sent on the 13th of May 2026 from the Access Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force. And it says, "Dear Honorable Tweh, the Access Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force extend its compliment and wishes to inform you of an ongoing investigation into allegations of the crime of theft of property, economic sabotage, misapplications of funds, criminal conspiracy, and criminal facilitations of the amount of $20,500,000 United States dollars in REC subsidy that was announced by the government of Liberia and implemented through the Ministry of Commerce and Industries and the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning for the reductions in the price of 25 kg between the period of September 2021 to October 2022. And credible records and documents in the possessions of AREPT allegedly reveal that payments made by the government of Liberia for the reduction of price on the Liberian market were allegedly stolen and diverted to personal use, with no impact on the reductions in the price of rice for the period under investigation. Reliable and classified records in the custody of AREPT investigation allegedly revealed that you, as former Minister of Finance and Development Planning, allegedly acted in concert with others under investigation to approve and processed payment at the Ministry of Finance for the REPT subsidy that was allegedly diverted to personal use. As you may note, Executive Order 161 was established by the government of Liberia to trace, identify, and recover stolen and suspicious assets, liquid and fixed. Based on your role played as former Minister of Finance and Development Planning, you are invited to come and provide an explanation to AREPT investigation. Your appearance has been scheduled as follows. Meanwhile, you requested to come along with your legal counsel. Date Tuesday, May 19, 2026. Time 11 a.m. Venue Access Recovery Head Office, Golden Key Compound, King Gray, Pinsville. We anticipate your cooperations as we strive to promote transparencies and integrity for the people of Liberia. So, and then, which he did, and then said that he was kept waiting after he said he waited for an hour plus with no sign of any investigation ongoing, and they kept him waiting for a very long time. And as a former finance minister, he deserves some respect. So for the Access Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force to keep him waiting for that very long time, so he left along with his legal team on Tuesday, May 19. So then the meeting was then rescheduled to be held today. So as we are here to give a full report, Samuel Tweh is now the office of the Access Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force, and I then stated the time he arrived here, 9:47. And he arrived at about 9:47, and the media is scheduled by 10. So he's in there now, and as we're with the investigation. So the investigation is surrounding the 2021 to 2022 rest of $20,500,000 United States dollars. Rest or subsidy that was to be distributed on the market for the reduction of prices. So Access Recovery Task Force are saying that there are no concrete account to that, and they, based on their investigation, allegedly that the finance minister diverted that amount to a different account. So they were able to trace that, allegedly, they were able to trace that, and they found out that that fund was diverted, and the purpose for that money was not meant. So based on that, he have to come and explain to the AREPT team as to how did that fund was distributed, and how did it affect the economic burden in September 2021 to 2022. How did it affect the economic, especially for the rest reduction? Because based on what they wrote, or based on their investigations and finding, that money was not used for that purpose. So he's here to provide clarity on how that money was used, because he sent the trade to the account. As a finance minister, every fund that will be given out, he have to sign and approve these funds. So he was then signatory to that account, and he signed that money for that amount to be distributed into the market for the reductions of price of rice on the Liberian market. But then later, the AREPT team noticed that that money was not used for its intended purpose. So that money was not used for unfair purpose, and the money was diverted to different account. So the investigation is ongoing. So this investigations is surrounding the allegations of crime of theft of property, economic sabotage. Remember that money was intended to at least reduce the price of rice on the Liberian market, so to help with the economic at that time. So the investigation surrounding that theft of property, and allegedly they said that the money was diverted into another account. So theft of property, economic sabotage, misapplications of funds, meaning the fund that the purpose for which the fund was intended for was not meant. So it was then diverted to another account. So yeah, sorry for that little break in. And again, so this entire investigation is centered around theft of property. Remember, the money that was signed and to be distributed, the 20,500,000 United States dollars that was to be distributed to boost the economy was not used for its intended purpose. So the allegation is centered around theft of property, economic sabotage, misapplications of funds, criminal conspiracies, and criminal facilitation of the amount of 20,500,000 United States dollars in red subsidy that was amounted by the government of Liberia. So this that was amounted by the government of Liberia and implemented through the Ministry of Commerce and Industries and the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning for the reductions in the price of rice between the period September 2021 to 2026. And at that time, the Assets Recovery Team are saying that money was not used, and rice price, red price being reduced within that period of time. So straight by that time, or was the rest given to the Commerce Ministry at that time? And they are saying, based on their investigation, that this money was diverted into different account. Allegedly, they are saying that this money was diverted into another account that it was not meant for. So for that reason, the Assets Recovery, with the sole authority to carry on these investigations or in retrieving government or funds, in retrieving government property that was misused or that was not used for its intended purpose, so with that power invested in them, they have now summoned the former finance minister, Honorable Tweh, for an investigation. For an investigation to clear his side and tell us how this money was used. So this entire money is between the finance ministry at that time and the Ministry of Commerce. Did the Ministry of Commerce receive the subsidy? Receive the 20,500,000 United States dollars in red subsidy? Did the Ministry of Commerce receive that money? And if so, why is it that within that time the red price didn't reduce? Because the sole purpose for that subsidy was to reduce the price of rice, to boost the economy at that time. And why is it that didn't affect the economy? Tell us. And then they are saying, allegedly they are saying that the money was diverted into another account. I'm sure they have a proof of whatever claim that they are posting. So they have proof of it. So they are saying that no, that money was diverted into another account. That's the reason it didn't take effect into the economics. It didn't boost the economy at that time. We didn't see the reductions in the price of rice. That money was used for different purpose as it was intended for. So these are analysis surrounding this entire investigation. So former finance minister has been facing some legal issue. So he's here again with his team of lawyers, and Councillor Arthur Johnson is his legal counsel. He's his lawyer. He's here with his legal counsel to be able to provide proof as to how that money was used, or how did they carry on that distribution, because we didn't see effect. So Asset Recovery are saying it didn't take effect. It didn't take effect into the economy. The economy was not affected. So now they are saying that the money was diverted. So again, let me read this letter. This letter was sent on the 13th of May 2026. This letter was sent on the 13th of May 2026. And it was sent to Honorable Tweh. Dear Honorable Tweh, the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force, AREPT, extend its compliments and wishes to inform you of an ongoing investigation into allegations of the crime of theft of property. That listen here. Economic sabotage, misapplications of funds, criminal conspiracy, and criminal facilitations of the amount of $20,500,000 United States dollars. Criminal facilitation of the amount, criminal facilitated, in the process, because he was signatory to the account by that time, and when the form was signed for. Criminal facilitations of the amount of $20,500,000 United States dollars in red subsidy that was announced by the government of Liberia. It was announced by the government of Liberia, and it was implemented through the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning for the reductions in the price of rice between the period of 2021 to October 2022. So it was announced and implemented. So you listen. So this amount was announced. This $20,500,000 in red subsidy was announced and implemented by the Ministry of Commerce. It was announced and implemented. It was announced and implemented. So listen to these phrases. It was announced and then implemented by the Ministry of Commerce. It was announced and implemented through the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning for the reduction in the price of rice 25 kg between the period of 2021 to October 2022. So Asset Recovery are saying this entire rice subsidy, all the 25 million in rice subsidies, was not implemented because we didn't see any changes in the economy. So they are saying that rice price was still up when this announcement was made. When this announcement of RESPA was still up. And now you're saying it was implemented. So tell her, how was it implemented? How was it implemented within that period? Say from September 2021 to October 2022. How did it affect the economy at that time? How did it affect the market? Because we understand that within that period of time, we still have the RESPA at the same level, right? The RESPA did not drop. We still had the RESPA at the same level. People are still buying the RESPA at the same price. It did not drop. So how was this thing implemented? How was it implemented? So tell us, how was it implemented? Then they said credible records. That legal people, credible records in documents in the possessions of AREPT allegedly revealed that payments made by the government of Liberia for the reduction of the RESPA in the Liberian market was allegedly stolen and diverted to personal use. Now we come to where we have him being investigation on crime of theft of property. Criminal facilitation. Now we come to where this is saying that he's here to answer questions on theft of property, on criminal facilitation, because based on the credible records or the credible informations in the possessions of the AREPT team, the people, they are legal people, right? So they got access to legal documents. They got a way in which they can get these documents and, to be able to carry on their investigation. So they say they got proof, right? Allegedly, they say they got proof. They got document. So again, if you just forward, this is point. Keep forwarding as we give you full updates on what's unfolding here at the AREPT office, Golden Key Hotel around Pinville, Kingray. So I'm Joraisi Asa Prince George, and I'll be joined later by Diamond Slanger. He's on his way to join us as we provide more updates on what is happening here with Honorable Tweh and the AREPT group. So again, back to what we were saying. So AREPT is saying that they have credible records. They have credible records. They have credible records and documents. They have credible records and documents, right? They have credible records and documents in their possession. So AREPT is saying they have credible records and documents. These are legal people that have access to legal documents, right? They know how to carry on their investigations. They know how to uncover hidden documents, right? So they say that they have credible records and documents in the possession. Allegedly, this document allegedly reveal that this document in that possession allegedly. So this document in the possession of AREPT allegedly revealed that payments made by the government. And who can make this payment? These payments are made by the finance ministry. So when the government make this announcement and say, okay, we'll be able to give so and so amount for so and so thing, right? Who made this payment? Who are signatory to this payment, right? So when the president who is the head for the government made this pronouncement, then the finance ministry is bound to make this payment, and the finance minister is signatory to these documents, right? So after this pronouncement of May of the 20,500,000 in rest or subsidies for the donations, United States dollars, not Liberian dollar, but United States dollar, right? 20,500,000 United States dollars in rest subsidy. After these pronouncements made by the government for the implementation, distribute government funds, right? The finance ministry distribute government funds. So they are the one that distribute government funds, when these pronouncements are made. So after the government made the pronouncement, The finance ministry now gave the money. And who's last to approve these funds is the finance minister. So the finance minister approved the funds. So AREPT is saying that documents in that possession, records in that possession, revealed that payments made by the governor of Liberia for the reduction of the rice price on the Liberian market were allegedly stolen and diverted to personal use. So AREPT is saying that the document they have, or the records they have in that possession of the fund that the finance minister was to distribute or give to the commerce minister for the implementations of this whole rest thing, right? That money was stolen and it was diverted into another account, and, not the other way around, right? So the money was to go into the commerce ministry account. The commerce ministry do the implementations, being gathered by the finance ministry, right? But then that money wasn't diverted into another account, according to the document in the possessions of AREPT, right? That money was diverted into another account. Again, with no impact on the reduction in the price of rice for the period under investigation. You see? So now, again, all the purpose for the 20,500,000 United States dollars, the purpose for that money was for the money to be given to the commerce ministry to be able to get the rice on the market, and the rice goes on the market, it reduces the price of the rice on the market. But now I already said that that money was stolen and diverted into another account with no impact at all on the reductions in the price of rice according to that time. So it was between September of 2021 to October of 2022. So within that time, I already saying that that pronouncement that was made, that money that was given, it had no impact on the market. No, rice price was not reduced. Was they buying rice? I already saying that was they buying rice at the same price, within that period of time. Was they buying rice at the same price? So it made no impact in the reduction of price of rice. No impact at all. There was no impact, no reduction in the price of rice. We didn't see the rice on the Liberian market to be able to at least boost the economic. There was nothing at all. So they are saying there was no impact within that period of time. So where did the money go? Because if you divert the money into another account, as they have allegedly said, if you divert the money into another account, as they have allegedly said, for what reason? Why was it planned for you diverting that money into another account? Tell us why was he thinking? And what was the mission? What was the mission, vision, and intention for diverting that money into another account, right? And not just diverting the money into another account, but you diverted the money into another account now. But then the purpose for which the money was approved for, the purpose for which you signed, the purpose for which you signed on this document to get the fund and distribute the rest on the Liberian market, right? Was not meant. They are saying that you disbursed the money, right? You disbursed the money. The money was disbursed. Now you disbursed the money, and then the purpose for which the money was approved for, to reduce the price of rice on the Liberian market, we not see it. The price of rice was still high on the Liberian market. People are still buying rice at a high price. There was no impact. So the people are quoting from the records and documents that they have in their possession, right? So they are not saying Samuel Tweh is guilty. No, they are not saying Samuel Tweh is guilty of any of these allegations. No, they are not saying Samuel Tweh is guilty of any of the allegations. They are saying, according to that record, allegedly, according to the record in the possession that we were able to get. The record saying that Samuel Tweh signed for this money. Good. Samuel Tweh signed for the money. Okay. Now he signed for the money. The money was signed for. So they are saying Samuel Tweh signed for this money. Okay, no problem. Samuel Tweh signed for the money. Okay. According to our record that we have, according to the document that we have in our possession, right? Samuel Tweh signed for this money. Okay, now. He signed for the money was transferred. He sent the money into an account. And according to our record in our possession, the AREPT saying, and I'm saying no. According to the record in our possession, we say Samuel Tweh signed for the money. We see a signature on the money here now. We see the signature money, but then the money was sent to another account. For what reason? Was their account an established account for this purpose? Come and tell us. This account that you transfer the money in. This account that you transfer the money in, was this account an established account for the purpose of this whole resting? Tell us. Probably there was a joint account that was created so that the money can go into, they can be able to get it out, to be able to carry on the implementation. And so now tell us now, because the document we're getting in our possession that we're able to uncover, it's telling us that Samuel Tweh, you signed for the money here. You have proof of this money. Not just signed, but you have proof this money. This money was approved. Now you approve the money. And this money was transferred into an account. Not the Commerce Ministry account, but into an account. So now our concern is, was this account an established account for this purpose? So tell us now, come and explain to us. We are not saying you are guilty, no. They are not saying Samuel Tweh is a guilty. It's an alleged allegation, right? It's an alleged allegation. They are not saying he is guilty, but only saying, come and answer, give us clarity. We want to know, right? The account that you transfer the money in, why you desire to transfer the money in that account? Explain to us. That's what we want to know. We're not saying you're guilty of these allegations, all the things. Who say you're guilty of it? But you can tell for what reason you transfer the money in the account. And now you transfer the money into the account, but then the purpose of which this money was approved and signed for was not meant. We didn't see it. Because within that period, in September 2021, October, all the way to October 2022, there was no reduction in the price of rice on the Liberian market. We didn't see that. There was no reduction in the price of rice on the Liberian market. Liberian people are still buying rice at the same price. After they have complained that, the rice price high. The rice price high, okay, now the government's okay, no problem. We'll be able to give 20,500,000 in rice subsidy to the Ministry of Commerce and the Finance Ministry, because the Finance Ministry is in charge of all funds and distribution of funds. So they will be in charge. They will be in charge of it. So now, I heard saying that. So now, when we did our investigation, we look around, we check, we found all our documents there, hidden documents, we trace all the transactions and stuff like that. We noticed that this money was approved and signed for by the Ministry of Finance. That is here. Because any fund that will move from in the Ministry of Finance, right? Any fund that will be distributed, right? The minister is aware of it. So we noticed that. So we noticed that your office approved this amount. Okay, fine. The office approved the amount. And this money was sent. It was sent into another account. Why for? Why you have to send the money into another account? Allegedly, according to that record. Why you have to send that money into another account? So come explain to us now. Why you send the money into another account? We won't know. Did you send the money into another account for a different purpose after the purpose for which you signed the money for was for us to buy rent and put it in the library, to put on the library market so that rest price can drop, people can get rest at an affordable price, and so Liberian people are crying and complaining on the high price of rest on the market. So where you put it 20,500,000, chief? Tell us. Why you have to put it in different account? Come and tell us. And again, you put it in different account. That whole time, red price don't drop. We don't see any red price dropping. No rest was distributed on the Liberian market. So can't tell us. So AREPT is not saying that Samuel Tweh is guilty of these allegations. No. They are not saying he's guilty of these allegations. They are only saying he should come and explain as to how this money was used. And so they say reliable and classified records. Reliable, right? So the people that are lawyers now, they are lawyers. They are trained lawyers, so they know. So reliable, right? So now the people get fit, they got hope now. They say reliable and classified records in the custody of AREPT's investigation allegedly revealed that you, Samuel Tweh, as former finance minister and development planning, allegedly acted in concern with others on an investigation to approve and process payment at the Ministry of Finance for the rare subsidy that was allegedly diverted to personal use. So now they're saying, according to that document that they get in their possession now, they say the document revealed that Samuel Tweh in orders they consented, right? And they approve and process the payment at the ministry level. They approve and process the payment at the ministry level for the subsidy that was allegedly diverted to personal use. So now this subsidy now, the rest now was diverted now to personal use instead of this rest being distributed on the Liberian market for the reduction in the price of rest. So as you may know, so the people telling us now for what ground is standing on now to carry on this investigation. To carry on this investigation. What ground is standing on to carry on the investigation? So they're telling us now, as you may know, reminding us on Executive Order 161 was established by the governor of Liberia to trace, identify, and recover stolen and suspicious assets. Based on your role played as former Minister of Finance and Development Planning, you are invited to come and provide an explanation to AREPT investigation. So they're calling now to explain and tell us, okay, we did our own investigation, we saw documents and stuff. So can't tell us now, can't explain to us, because you are in charge of that whole operation. Mr. Tweh, you are in charge of that entire operation now. So can't explain to us, how did you carry on this operation? Because the document we have in, sometimes it can be correct, right? Okay. Saying not correct now, we want you to come in person. So you come in person now to explain to us how this operation will carry on. Because when the pronouncement was made by the governor of Liberia to approve $20,500,000 United States dollars in rare subsidy to be given to the Ministry of Commerce. Yeah. So, again, if you just join here, I'm Joraz, the Israel Prince Jor. I'm here with Diamond. He's just arrived and he will be taking on any moment from now for me. So let me just provide some analysis, and then I'm still at the backstage, even though I'm providing this basic information, but I'm still at the backstage and Diamond will come in front of the camera to to provide more updates. You know, we are here to provide information surrounding this entire investigation. So AREPT is saying that Samuel Tweh is not guilty. No, we are not saying Samuel Tweh is guilty. You know, so nobody should panic. Samuel Tweh shouldn't panic. We are not saying he's guilty, right? No. All we are saying is that Samuel Tweh should come and explain to us. Tell us that, oh, I was in charge of this 20,500,000, right? My office did sign for it. My office signed for this 20,500,000 to be given to the Ministry of Commerce in red subsidies for the reduction in the price of restaurant library market. My office was in charge of it. Okay. Our record that we have in here, the document that we have in here now, in our possession says, you, Samuel Tweh, signed and approved this money. And this money was sent. But then, we noticed that this money was transferred into another account. So tell us, why you have to transfer the money in another account? Was this account a joint account established for this entire operation that you desire to use the account instead of sending it to the Ministry of Commerce to carry on the operation? So tell us now, why you have to use different account? So according to our records and our document, we are not saying you are guilty, but just explain to us. Because from September 2021 to October 2022, we did our investigation. But within that period of time, red press was still at the scene, right? Red press didn't reduce. People are still buying rest at a very high price. For the reason for which this money was given, or for the Ministry of Commerce to distribute this rest in the Liberian market, was to reduce the price of rest. But then within that period, red press reduced. So what already you did with the money? Tell us. So that the investigation ongoing them. So again, I'm still at the backstage, so Dami will take over from me. Yeah, so that's it. So with all these allegations that AREPT is saying that Samuel Tweh should come and explain to them, they're not saying Samuel Tweh is guilty of these allegations. No. They're not saying Samuel Tweh is guilty of it. But they're only telling to come and clear his up and explain to us now. Because they too, they are legal people, right? They know how to trace these documents. You know, so they are now acting on the documents that they have in their possession. So Samuel Tweh now will be explaining to them, oh, our Minister of Finance and yes, the government. Sorry, yeah, we done.
Oh, but all the things just dropping to do. Try the microphone. 1, 2.
Okay. So sorry for that break in. We were trying to make some adjustment with our equipment. You know, someone brought us new equipment, so we're trying to make the adjustment. So now let's continue from where we stopped. So Harry is saying Samuel Tweh shouldn't panic, right? Now, coming for this investigation, it doesn't mean that Samuel Tweh will be found guilty or sent to jail. No. In jail coming clear, sir. After he clear, sir, he tell us and explain to us how this form was used, for what reason you have to divert the form into a different account. Because from our possession of the document that we have in our possession, it says that you transfer this money into another account. For what reason? Because when you sign this document say this money should be used for rest purpose, not for it to be used for another purpose. So if for any reason, or if there was an emergency that you will transfer this money into another account, why you have to sign using this rest document? So come and explain to us. But we're not saying, oh, you're guilty. No, we're saying you're guilty, but just tell us how you use government money, because that government money, because the assets recovery, their work is to investigate government fund, how government fund was used, and government property, how government property was used, how you use it, did you use it for its intended purpose, you know? Yeah. So now Tamu will take over from me.
Thank you, Gerasi. You did a terrific job, and thank you for being here. I love to say good morning to everybody watching us, irrespective of where you are watching us from. So we are still continuing this live podcast. We're still right here in front of the office of the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force, just along the RRA Highway, not too far from King Gray. This is where we are. So you did watch the arrival of former Finance Minister Samuel Tweh and his legal team. Remember, they were scheduled to have appeared earlier, the 21st of May, according to him and his legal team. They were kept for hours without being attended to by the investigators of the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force. But then AREPT in itself came up with its own press statement saying that what was said by the former Finance Minister and his legal team was far from the truth. According to AREPT's own press release, the former Finance Minister and his legal team opted not to be put through their procedures here at AREPT and left at their own accord, and they were in no way disrespected, as was stated by the legal team of former Finance Minister Samuel Tweh, being led by Councillor Arthur Johnson. But that is just a sidebar. What are we here for today? That is the question. Liberians are interested in knowing the outcome of these investigations, talking about 20.5 million United States dollars that was supposedly to be used for rice subsidy between the years 2020 to 2021. According to this AREPT investigation, according to AREPT's own statement, let me just take us back in time just a bit so that we can know how to proceed with this particular live broadcast. So yes, Samuel Tweh and his legal team present. They've been asked to come and assist investigators. This is not an arrest. Let's make that clear for everybody to understand. This is not an arrest. We do see another pickup is coming in. This is not an arrest. This is an investigation to come in and tell investigators exactly what role he played as finance minister. So that's the AREPT boss we've been told we want to see. Okay, we cannot get a glimpse of him exiting his vehicle because he's going to their office here at the Golden Key Hotel. So he has arrived. It's 22 minutes up to 11 a.m. So what we need to talk about clearly is why is this investigation ongoing? Remember, Samuel Tweh weeks ago was acquitted on similar charges. In fact, all of the charges therein, the allegations that he's going to assist these investigations, the charges within the letter of AREPT, Samuel Tweh faced these charges and was acquitted of all counts recently, just weeks ago at Criminal Code C. But this is a new investigation. Remember, charges have not been yet trumped up against the former finance minister. We're hearing that former officials of the Ministry of Commerce are also involved in these investigations. Whether or not an indictment will be coming up, we cannot speak to that as well. But let's look at the charges to be considered. Theft of property. Theft of property is section 15.51, the penal law of Liberia. Theft of property is the conversion of public funds for personal use. Misapplication of entrusted property. That's 15.56, using public money outside legal authorization. Economic sabotage. 15.80. It involves fraud. So economic sabotage, that's 15.80. It involves fraud on the government, misuse of public money, illegal disbursement, and conspiracy. Criminal conspiracy, 10.4 of the Penal Law of Liberia, is an agreement between two or more individuals to conspire, and commit an act or a crime against the republic. So now let's go to the history of this investigation. So this is what investigators are saying. Investigators are saying that payments approved through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, funds were transferred to importers and intermediaries. The investigators are also saying some recipients had no clear role in the rice importation. That's according to AREPT's letter. It also says that there's no evidence of the subsidy being reaching consumers, that there was absolutely no subsidies of the there was no evidence of subsidy being reaching consumers. They're also alleging that no price reduction or whatever happened during this period of intervention. That is what the investigators are saying at the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force. So hence, they're calling on the former finance minister, and we've been told that other top brass of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, including former Minister Mawani Deeks, will be called in, or investigations ongoing, has surrounded these individuals as well. So this is about 20.5 million rice subsidy that apparently happened under the Weah administration. So the Asset Recovery Task Force is investigating, one, how was the money used and why rice prices never changed. The Asset Recovery is saying, how was this 20.5 million used and why didn't rice prices change during that period of time? If this 20.5 million was to subsidize governments, to subsidize the importation of rice so as to reduce the burden on ordinary Liberians who are the consumers of rice. So that is what Asset is saying, and Samuel Tweh and his lawyers are here to assist investigators to provide whatever documentations that they have to see whether or not they can be dropped from these investigations, or we'll see what the next step of action will be. So these are the verified facts. So these are facts that are not disputed. Fact number one, the subsidy period was from 2021 to 2022, September 2021 to October 2022. That is the period of this subsidy. That was when this 20.5 million United States dollars was to be infused and given to rice importers to reduce the burden on consumers and to keep the rice price down at a minimum so that Liberians could be able to afford during this period. That the total amount disbursed, this again is a verified fact, that the total amount disbursed was 20.5 million United States dollars. The purpose, as I said earlier, intended to stabilize the price of a 25 kg bag of rice. That is the rice we average Joes in Liberia eat every day. That is the 25 kg bag of rice, depending on whatever your brand of choice is. Now, the implementing ministries, a verified fact again, the Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. So Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, we know, is the disbursing ministry in Liberia, and the Ministry of Commerce, the implementing ministry, because rice importation, distribution, everything falls under the Ministry of Commerce. Now, what Asset is saying, that the market reality is that rice price never dropped. And so Samuel Tweh, the Minister of Finance, the former Minister of Finance, has been summoned for questioning. Mr. Tweh, as I said earlier, was acquitted weeks ago of similar charges in an unrelated case. He's back again in the crosshairs of the government. According to Tweh and his legal counsel, again, this is all a witch hunt, as they stated with his previous words. They were unclear to the ears unless you take a keen listen to, but what was clear to the eyes was the fact that he broke down in tears and cried Others quoted on social media that Tweh 1135 Samuel Tweh wept or he cried, but that is far from what is happening here today. He's in there with investigators. As you can see, the presence of police officers here. The gate has been shut by the human barricade. Only those concerned with these investigations are currently there. So it is a tight ship here. It's a tight regimen happening here. The sun is gradually taking its place up in the sky to make way for what supposedly we're hoping will be a good day weather-wise. But for Samuel Tweh and his legal team, it's all about answering the questions from the AREPT investigators. Their answers, their documentations, whatever they will provide is going to set the tune and the pace for whether Mr. Tweh will be further implicated in this $20.5 million rice subsidy scam, or whether or not he will be dropped from that investigation. Now, why has the task force stepped in? As Jurassic clearly stated, the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force was established by Executive Order 161. It empowers this authority and this task force to trace and recover public assets. We saw the asset recovery upon its initial inception, going after the Gracious Rice vehicles. We know how that went. There was one litigation to another, one legal remedy to another, until it went to the full bench of the Supreme Court, establishing the constitutionality of AREPT. So that is not under any question whatsoever. So Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force, established by Executive Order 161, empowers this task force to trace and recover public assets. Investigators say also that the subsidy did not reach the consumers. That is what asset recovery investigators are saying. They've conducted their own preliminary investigations according to them, and the subsidy did not affect the ordinary Liberians. That is, the intended purpose for the 20.5 million was not achieved. Tweh and his legal counsel will be speaking to their role and whether or not the monies did reach the consumers, if it did have the desired effect, or he can defend himself that I dispersed and I didn't implement. Well, whatever way they'll be answering those questions in there, we wish we had ears to let you know. But we're hoping that when they do exit these walls, we will be given an opportunity to speak to former Minister Tweh and his legal representation. So, as I said earlier, these are the charges. These are the presumed charges if there will be an indictment. Remember, this is just an investigation. Asset Recovery is saying they have reason to believe that these charges could be trumped up if these investigations unearth that there is enough probable cause to go for an indictment before the grand jury of Montserrado County. So let's listen to the charges again. The Asset Recovery, in their communication to former Minister Tweh, are saying these charges could, or these investigations could lead to discharges, that they have reason to believe that theft of property occurred. And theft of property, according to the penal law of Liberia, is section 15.51. It has to do with the conversion of public funds for personal use. Remember, in Tweh's case at Criminal Code C, he and the other 4 co-defendants, theft of property was one of those charges he was acquitted of. Now, misapplication of entrusted property, section 15.56, that is using public money outside legal authorization. Again, Tweh faced those charges in his previous trial that he was acquitted of. Economic sabotage, 15.80. Economic sabotage again was faced by Tweh and his fellow co-defendants during that particular trial. And economic sabotage entails fraud on the government, misuse of public money, illegal disbursement, and conspiracy. Is Asset Recovery saying that the disbursement of the 20.5 million was illegal, that transfers that were made to supposed accounts that were not linked to the Ministry of Commerce also equates to illegal disbursement? Well, those questions will be posed by investigators, and Mr. Tweh and his legal team will answer those questions accordingly. Criminal conspiracy. Now, Asset Recovery again is saying that in this $20.5 million rice subsidy saga that is currently ongoing, this investigation, that the ministers of finance and development planning plus other cohorts conspired. They have reason to believe that they conspired to defraud the Republic of $20.5 million. And criminal conspiracy is section 10.4 of the penal law of Liberia, or penal code, if you want to refer to that as that way. And criminal conspiracy entails agreement between two or more persons to commit a crime. And of course, there is criminal facilitation, 10.3, that deals with assisting or enabling another person to commit an offense. As I said to you earlier, Tweh faced similar charges in his previous case that he was acquitted of. He faced similar charges: economic sabotage, theft of property, criminal conspiracy, money laundering, misapplication of entrusted funds, and all of that. That involved the FIA-related funds. Tweh argued in that case that expenditures were tied to national security, and he was acquitted of all of those charges. So I'll take a brief break to be right back. We will be bringing you all of what is unfolding. My name is Diamond Slanger. I'm here with Jurassic Joe, and we just right before the headquarters of the Asset Recovery and Property Retriever Task Force headquarters. This is located at Golden Key Hotel, just along the RRA Highway. So 9 minutes to the top of the hour, 11. And if it clocks 11, remember Tweh and his legal representation were to be here at 10. So if we count in an hour, we'll say they've been in there for about an hour now. So investigators are saying this is what happened in this Rice case. According to investigators, the payments were approved by the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, that the funds were transferred to importers and intermediaries. Who are these importers and who are these intermediaries that funds were transferred to? The investigators are saying that some recipients had no clear role, no divine role in the rice importation. So if investigators are saying that some of the recipients of this $20.5 million were not importers, they had no defined role, then why was monies transferred to them? That is a question investigators will be asking in there. Also, the investigators are saying that there is no evidence that the subsidies reached the consumers. We, the ordinary Liberians, according to investigators, they are alleging that, look, even though you're saying you disbursed $20.5 million to importers as a subsidy to reduce the high cost of Liberia's staple, rice, you know, in Liberia, we don't joke of our rice business. We had a rice riot in this country, and Liberian men, if they not eat rice for the day, that means we eat. So the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force investigators are saying that this $20.5 million, this subsidy that was supposed to have happened, never reached the consumers, that ordinary Liberians were still buying rice at a very high cost. So the 20.5 did not reach the consumers. And they're also saying there was no price reduction in the market as well. So if you infuse 20.5 and the intent of infusing 20.5 million was to reduce the price of rice, why is it during this period of September 2021 to October 2022, the price of rice was still high? The investigators are also saying they are reconstructing the entire payment chain. So what they're saying is, as part of their investigation, they want to reconstruct the entire payment chain, as in, where did the money originate, who disbursed the money, who implemented, who received what, how were they paid, what do those payments, what did those payments reflect. So they want to create the entire payment chain, and that is a huge task for investigators. So this is the full-time line. Let me give you the full-time line, because we'll be wrapping up this live coverage until something significant unfolds here at the headquarters of AREPT. But this is the full-time line, that 2021 to 2022, that's September 2021 to October 2022, subsidies were implemented in the tune of $20.5 million. That money was disbursed. January to April 2026, AREPT started preliminary reviews and documents gathering. So AREPT, according to what we've gathered, started their investigation from January 2026 to April 2026. They had preliminary reviews and documents were gathered. May 13, 2026, Tweh was summoned. That was just after, he got his not guilty verdicts. He was summoned. May 19, So the 20th, Tweh's lawyers requested, a reschedule, and that was granted. Then May 2021, Tweh arrived here with his lawyers, and then they left after saying they were allegedly or reportedly not given the due courtesy, that they were not given any respect, and they had spent hours here at the offices of AREPT. AREPT came up, as I said earlier, to debunk that allegation that what transpired was more of Tweh and his lawyers opting not to go through their security procedures and left, rather than they being kept for hours without being attended to. And then today we're seeing them here again. We've been informed again that importers and officials have been questioned by AREPT. We're hearing that former Deputy Commerce Minister of Administration, Wilfred Bangura, is going to be turned state witness. That's the former Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Mawani Diggs, is also a serious person of interest in this rice subsidy saga. So what we can tell you is, who else are those under investigation? The former Commerce Minister, Mawani Diggs, and other officials of commerce. We've been told that former Deputy Minister of Administration, what's his name, Wilfred Bangura, is also a person of interest. He has been investigated. We've been told, again, it's unconfirmed, that he might most likely turn state evidence. Well, whatever prosecution does, if indeed charges are trumped up and we see an indictment and a subsequent court case, who those witnesses will be, we can only figure out. But one name that has sparked up is that of Wilfred Bangura. So folks, what happened next? As we said, this is still an investigation. We could see Samuel Tweh being delisted from a person of interest to these investigations to being somebody declared that he's got no very, very serious role played in this, that his role cannot equate him to an indictment. That might happen. We might also see a possible indictment, that after these investigations, provided the documents and answers they gave to investigators, that AREPT might say, look, there is enough here to charge, so let's go to the grand jury and establish probable cause to be able to get an indictment against these individuals. So as it stands, there isn't an indictment yet for the former finance minister and others that are concerned with this $20.5 million rice subsidy saga. But depending on how these investigations transpire, we might see an indictment of all of them, some of them, or none of them, or we might not see an indictment or whatever. We might also see forensic audit by the GAC. We might see asset freezing and the rest, and expanded questioning. All right, so folks, thank you for watching. For now, we have to go off for a minute, and once something significant happens here, we'll go live again. My name is Diamond Slanger from before the headquarters of Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force. The pendulum, the momentum, the hottest spot in Liberia is this spot right here. A couple of weeks ago, the hottest spot again involving Samuel Tweh was Criminal Code C. He walked a free man. Will he, at this stage, be dropped from this investigation, or will we see his name reappearing in another indictment? Thank you for watching for now, and bye-bye. Samuel.